Hey, how y'all doing? Thank you again for joining me on this journey. Like I said, it's going to be a long one. It's let's see where I was in the last one I left off. Come back from Adepticon. Yeah. After we came back from Adepticon, the whole itching thing. It was about maybe about a month after the whole itching debacle went down. Like I said, I was starting to get exhausted because I wasn't sleeping. That's when I first turned on my funds program permanently, like because I needed it to supersede my sleep. So when I was exhausted, if I had this program running, it allowed me to hyperfixate on everything. So it pushed past any kind of like sleeping issues I was having. But again, it was detrimental to me in the long run. I'll talk about that later on. Like I said, it was important to me though to do it because I cared. This job was for the first time in my life. I had something that really mattered to me. I mean, I took it as seriously as I took being a Marine. It wasn't like most of the jobs. Even when I had like regular jobs, though, I mean, it doesn't matter the job I had. I always did incredibly well at it because it was never about the job. It was never like I was doing something for the store I was working for. It was about sharpening my saw. 7 habits of highly effective people. It's you practice. Or hold on, what's the saying? You fight how you train. That's what it is. So every job I have, everything I do, it's me training. So that's why it was important to me to do things like that to push past through all of it to be the best I could be. And two, I was trying to, fight for my commander. I believed in the cause. Aside from that, trash kept start piling up. Even after we did that crazy big burn, we still had some, so we still had to make dump runs. There was one day that just it was crazy because the dump run was so far away. It was like, 25 miles from where we were at least 20 to 25 miles, but it was ridiculous. So the round trip was a lot. So there was one day where I made 5 trips out there in one day, and that was like full tank of gas, like $100 in gas. And I remember at that time it was like I didn't even make $100 a day as an employee. So it's like I spent more on gas than I was paid as an employee for that day's work. It was funny, but again, I didn't think of it as being used or exploited at the time because I thought I was fighting for something. Like I said, by the time this story's over, all these little things that I'm saying, they're gonna look pretty fucking exploitive. Because, like I said, it was a sacrifice because I cared. But then it got to the point where I realized he didn't. It was busted. Anyways, continuing on, we were still building the place too. Steady progress. We had both the patios were enclosed, so they were now rooms instead of patios. Still had drywall to go up. That wasn't done yet, but we were had the sliding glass doors because we had to break through the walls because neither one of the sliding glass doors existed. So we had to break through both the walls, and then from there get glass doors and then have them fitted in. So there was that too, and then finishing putting the wood in place and stuff like that. So it was like I said, it was a lot of building, and then just loads of just taking out trash and bringing stuff in. We had cardboard from all the stuff that he was buying to refurnish the place with. So like I said, there was a lot of still burn pits going on, but it was intense. And we just still did rental property work. He would take us out. Like I said, it was just sporadic. We'd go out there, some tenant left, and he'd need us to come back, clean up the place. That way he can get somebody else in there so he can get that money coming back in. And then painting too. Still did the painting, still did the hobbying, building. So like I said, my jobs were increasing exponentially. I'm trying to think what else. Oh god, yeah, I remember that too. There was one time because again, and this goes to show how my former owner could be astute and attentive when he wanted to be, because he recognized that there was because me and Courtney got into tisks for a number of reasons, but he realized it was because I'm a high energy worker and Courtney was a low energy worker. Courtney was the manager and I was an employee because he got there first, basically. And it's like I didn't care. I don't want to be manager. I never wanted it. But one instance really just kind of just highlights what it was like to work with him. and we were bringing in drywall, like sheets of they were the 4x8 sheets of drywall, but they were double stacked, so it was two per pack, before you pull them off. And we had a rental vehicle to bring them in. And we started out where it was, I was on the inside. They would come up, bring the drywall. I would carry the drywall from the inside to where we were staging it on the inside. So they were taking half the way. I took it the other half the way on the inside. And we did it fine for a couple trips. Then all of a sudden, they stopped coming. So I waited for a minute because I figured, I don't know, something, whatever, talking. So I gave him like 5 minutes. And then finally I went out there and I see Courtney sitting on the edge of the rental truck. And he's just hanging out. I'm like, what's going on? And it's like, it was basically told me the owner had a phone call he was taking. And I'm like, oh, I should have come got me. Let's go get these rest of these in. And he's like, oh, well, I could probably only get one more in because I got to go. And I'm thinking to myself, it's like, you got to go. Why didn't you come in earlier? We could have got the rest of them in that 5-minute time, But it wasn't like him. He doesn't want to do the heavy lifting. So I finally coaxed him into bringing one in. And I remember, because the first set of two I brought in by myself. So I knew how. No, actually I brought like 2 sets in by myself. I just humped them over my shoulder. I saw what the Mexican kids did when we hired them to do drywall. I watched how they carried them, and I'm like, that's how I'm going to carry them, because I didn't want to tear them in two. So I carried 2 in. It sucked, but I did it. But when I finally get him to bring it in, as we're carrying it across the front lawn on that sidewalk, it's like, why am I going so slow? Why am I dragging? Then I realized it was because I was not just carrying the drywall, but I was dragging him too, because he couldn't move fast enough to get us going. And like I said, if you're on a time schedule and you got to leave, let's hustle while you're here. But that's not who he is. And even after that, there was a change up in the organization, where the owner was finally like, it got to the point where he decided to make me manager, and Courtney was artistic director. But it's like, even when he did that, and I understand why, because Courtney's not a manager. He can't handle any kind of stuff like that. He's a painter. He's a good painter, average painter, good. But he can't handle that leadership role. He can't handle a billet. And the same thing was when he became an artistic director. It's like, I would be a better artistic director than him, and I can't paint, because anybody who's held a title like that understands it's pretty much administrative. You got to delegate. You have to manage your people. You have to manage their time. It's not about painting anymore. But he just wanted to paint, and it was like, I'll explain later, but it kind of got into problems with his subordinates because he didn't know what he was doing. But that's a little bit down the road. But that explains our dynamic and where that came to. But it was just like, it was rough, because it's like, we should have been better. Things should have been better. But it was like, it's a great concept, great idea, but there was just so much dragging ass along the way that it was just got frustrating. And then taking the hits from my owner, it was just, what are you going to do? I don't know. But like I said, we were still plugging away and just building this place up. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. And it just kind of reveals his mentality, too. It was like right around that time, maybe a little bit after this point, so maybe a little bit ahead of the game. But he went to ATC, the American Team Championships, and he was a team leader, so he got to pick how the fight went out. And he was explaining it to him, because I don't know these things. People had to teach them to me. But he's explaining how it's his responsibility to pick who fights who. That way it helps, and by doing that, by knowing, like, I got to pick this guy because his army is strong against the opponent's army there, so I'm going to pick those two. And after he did, he won his match, but everybody else in his team lost. And he was just bragging and bragging and bragging about how he won. And I'm like, bro, man, it's like your whole team died and you're over here talking about how you lived. It's like, it's not a good look, because you failed as a leader. That was your job, was to keep everybody alive. But again, not only did you kill them all, but you're bragging about how you lived. And I hate to dump on him, but I am, because it's like, this is what irritated me about him. He was the kind of guy who, he didn't want to go out on the hunt. But when the hunt came back, not only did he want to be treated like he went on the hunt, but he wanted to be treated like he made the kill. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here, bro. It's like you got to put more effort in, because I mean, granted, he was painting because it's what he thought. He thought his painting was enough, and it's like, no, man. I mean, shit, I could have stayed as a painter. I wasn't providing near as much as I would, jumping into the role that got me into management. He didn't see that. He just wanted to sit and paint, but he wanted the title. He wanted the responsibility, and it always rubbed me the wrong way because I understood, what a charge meant. He didn't. Anyways, I'm gonna cut it off there. I went a little long, but as always, thank you for your time. And in the long run, I am gonna get somewhere. It's just gonna take me a bit or two. Take care. Thank you for your time.